Well, that was August 9th. I went to the doctors. I had been feeling poorly for a few weeks, losing energy primarily, and going from working most of a full day to down to not being able to work at all and having other people do my work for me, including my brother. And I went into the doctors and they found I was extremely dehydrated. My blood pressure was real low. And so that's when they did it. That's when they found out originally that I was really ill. They did a blood test and it came back that my kidneys were shut down. I had really high toxic levels, so they knew the kidneys were shutting down. I went to work. My brother was driving separate, and I had picked up a guy to help him because I just couldn't do anything. I would try to work for 5 minutes and be exhausted, have to sit down for 20 in the previous days, and then it just got to the point where I was just dragging myself to work, and sometimes I would go to the store and get something and come back, and it happened to go home at half day and lay down for 2 hours before I could even take a shower. So that morning also, what finally told me that I've got to call and get in to see my internist the same day, which you can do at Kaiser. I drank some water and went on the back and walked out to the off the job onto the back of my van and sat down for a minute, and then proceeded to have the water come up too. And at that point, when just water was coming up, I figured, I can't wait. I was trying to wait through this job. And basically, Bill described it at one point, it was like a stealth bomber coming in to drop bombs. He talked about how this was permanent, don't know if we can, we want to do this, this, and this in the future, but, we got to figure out if we can trust you first. This is permanent. It's like death's door. There was, he was just really, really cut and dry and the worst, and I had a peace through all that. Everyone around me, and obviously that was, my wife started, crying on that because that was hard stuff to hear, and it was a little bit of a brutal delivery. Well, in the hospital, it was a bit of a parade. The response, I got hooked up to the network for my phone, and I was texting. I saw, Bill and I saw Bill and Lynn walked in and prayed for me, and I saw people like, Jay and Paul Bellamy came through. Paul works at the hospital as a doctor, and they came up and showed up and prayed for me, and I saw people like Gary Perot came in and did some heavy-duty praying for me, and Johanna and the Minats, and just tons of people came through. And in other words, there was a point where my daughter was there, who works for Kaiser too and was seeing me frequently. She came in and said, "Dad, you had like 20 some odd people in your room, and they were so loud. I was like worried about, I have to work here." But no one said anything, and the staff at Kaiser was just treated me like family. Dialysis, there I am, and I'm getting used to it. You got to sit in the chair for 4 hours, and for me it turned out to be 4 hours and 15 minutes, 3 times a week, and you're captive, And the people there were wonderful too. I know, I don't want to say I believe, but I know that God just intervened. The prayers of the saints, just everyone here, so dedicated, just incredible outpouring, was determined I was going to get better. And that's exactly what happened. And I also know that this was more than just about me and my physical condition and God healing Greg. This was about God wanting to speak to the church on a whole too, just our prayer community, and that I believe it was like a little love letter to them in the midst of a real hard situation. I think he wanted to tell them, he says, "I see what you're doing. I hear you, and I am moving." It's kind of like, keep doing what you're doing.